It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. Well, one of the big problems that faces the entire state of California, but very specifically places like Los Angeles County, places like San Francisco and Oakland, is the scourge of drug addiction. Whether it's meth, whether it's fentanyl, whether it's heroin, whether it's tranq, there are a lot of people addicted to a lot of terrible things, and the current laws are set up to not help these people, to let them wallow in their addictions. Now, those laws may change when Prop 36 hopefully passes in November, but currently, there's not really a lot of ways to compel somebody to get into treatment because it's only a misdemeanor to possess this stuff, and there really isn't a system to say, hey, you got to go into treatment. You're destroying your life. We can beg you. We have advocates like Barbara Ferrer who say no, harm reduction is the way. Make it easier for them to do the drugs. Then they'll trust us. And then they'll get into treatment. But up in San Francisco, there is a new thought. Well, okay, it's really hard to get people to agree to treatment. And we don't currently have any ways to punish people into doing that. So there's no stick. What if there's a carrot? San Francisco Supervisor Matt Dorsey and San Francisco Mayor London Breed have introduced legislation that would give a financial incentive to people who are struggling, who get general assistance from San Francisco, get general welfare assistance, an extra $100 a week if they can stay clean. What do you think? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. What do you think about paying drug addicts $100 a week to stay clean? Are you on board? Now, before you instantly go ahead and mock this as another waste of money, let's get the pitch out from Dorsey. Let's get the pitch out from Breed. Let's hear what they have to say on this issue. But I'd also really love to talk to people in recovery, but also anyone's going to have an opinion on this. What do you think about paying drug addicts to stay clean? 800-222-KABC. Here's Matt Dorsey earlier today.
And although the Cash Not Drugs program is new to San Francisco,
Cash Not Drugs,
the underlying strategy that it represents really isn't new. It employs an addiction treatment strategy known as contingency management. It's where patients receive tangible incentives to reinforce positive behaviors like abstinence from addictive substances.
And this isn't the first time that San Francisco has had a program like this. In fact, San Francisco at one point had a program where they were paying people $75 a week to not shoot each other and also to not get shot. I don't know if that one worked out.
Or adherence to medically assisted treatment. And that's a strategy, a treatment strategy with prescribed medications like buprenorphine or methadone or naltrexone.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so and it's not just, we're trying to get you off, but even if you need to be on medically assisted treatment because getting off of fentanyl and getting off of heroin is very difficult, well, if you're on, the methadone stuff, you'll still get your $100. There's an incentive.
Contingency management has been researched and studied for decades, and it is considered, and I'm quoting, one of the most effective behavioral interventions for initiating and maintaining abstinence from drugs. In fact, medical literature attests to its success to treat addictions to stimulants, to opioids, to alcohol, to many other substances.
Would fast food count? Could I get paid $100 a week to not go to Jack in the Box? I feel like that would be a good incentive.
But the underlying...
Although I feel like not going to the drive-thrus has saved me so much money, I'm already making that. I did the math, and there was a point where I was probably hitting the drive-thrus at least once a day, and that one time was about $15. So you're looking at maybe $75 a week? Yeah. And that's only if I went once. Sometimes I go twice.
But the underlying principle of Cash Not Drugs is a simple one. A humane and effective approach to San Francisco's drug crisis should also include rewarding good behavior and not just punishing bad behavior.
It gives a little incentive, $100 a week to make sure you stay clean. Now, the general assistance already is about $600, so this would pump it up to about $1,000 a month. It's almost like Andrew Yang's thing. And what's interesting is back in the primary, San Francisco voters voted yes on something called Prop F that's similar to this in that if you're getting that general assistance welfare, you need to be screened and getting into treatment. So the way to enforce that has been very difficult. This would help that in that, hey, if you're actually in treatment and you actually can show us that you are sober and you're testing negative, $100. What do you think about paying drug addicts to get clean? 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Gary in Trabuco Canyon. Gary, hello.
Hello there, sir. Say, years ago, I would have thought this is horrible, but in the conditions of today, we're seeing people thieving and robbing, and I didn't know about bringing it up to $1,000 a month. I knew nothing about this before what you just stated. But I told your screener, if $100 helps people from, stealing or making ends meet somehow and they're staying clean, I think that's positive. It's not a hell of a lot of money. And I think if it works out, it could be kind of a great thing. It's really not so much money. And if that prevents them from going in a Lululemon and stealing off the rack, I'm all for it.
Well, that's a really good point in that the amount of money that people that are still in their throes of addiction will cost us, whether it's through the thieving or the public health response or the ER visits, everything else costs us way more than $100 a week.
Well, that's my comment. God bless.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Gary. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Cash, not drugs. What do you think of paying drug addicts to stay clean? 800-222-KABC. Now, I'm not destitute, so I wouldn't qualify for welfare, but I used to be addicted to pot, and I quit pot about 7 years ago. I'd like to cash in for that. But again, quitting pot, it felt like more money was getting into my bank account because when I was addicted to pot, I was spending minimum $100 a week on weed. What was wrong with me? If I think about all the money that I have blown over the years on drugs, all the money that I have blown on junk fast food, well, I'd have a nice little savings account right now. But you know what? Live and learn. And I learned those lessons pretty early on. Let's go to Dale in Culver City. Dale, hello.
Hey, Randy, how's everything?
Doing great.
I think that there's going to be a line of people going up to San Francisco, so maybe we can get rid of some of our homeless people. But the whole thing about recovery is we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and our life was unmanageable. So if they're getting paid, their life is not going to be unmanageable.
Well, yeah, that's true, but they have to be clean. Like they're not going to get that money unless they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, but if you're giving someone methadone, they're not really clean.
That is true, but I guess it's better than them being on the meth or being on the heroin or what have you.
Very true. So, anyway, that's my thought on it.
Thank you so much for the call, Dale. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC. San Francisco is implementing a new program called Cash, Not Drugs. Well, it has to get passed in the Board of Supervisors. It would go into effect next year. But people who already need general welfare assistance get $600 a month from the city. If they can stay clean, they get $100 a week. What do you think about paying drug addicts to stay clean? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Mike in L.A. Mike, hello.
Hi. No, it sounds good, but the city, the people who we pay, just come up with random ideas to try it out. Let's try it out for a few $1 million and see if it works. They wouldn't try anything that somebody else suggests does work. they don't do that. They come up with these schemes of their own, and it's just like throwing spaghetti against the wall to see which sticks. And we're the golden tree, the money tree. We're the money tree. And all the mayor does and the city council, everybody comes to you and I for money. And sure enough, they have the best idea to take care of it. I worked in the California Youth Authority for a year, and at the end of the year, they were the ones that got out were going straight. The mayor of the facility, the best well-mannered person, was back within a year doing the same thing. It's ingrained in them. If I'm going to steal, you give me $1,000, I say, maybe, thank you, and then I go steal anyway because that's and just what I've been doing for a living. It doesn't seem like a good plan for San Francisco or here. With that, we have no responsibility on their part to do anything except stop. And there's no consequence for anything, which is just ridiculous because all of us come from, most of us come from, the majority come from families that have consequences, and that's how we become taxpayers, period. Short story.
Well, and you're totally right. And hopefully there will be consequences soon. If Prop 36 passes, one of the big things in Prop 36 is it changes the law where right now possession is a misdemeanor. What would happen if Prop 36 passes is on your third misdemeanor arrest, you would be compelled into treatment. It would be a treatment mandated felony. So you could either take the felony and go to prison for 3 years, or you have to go into treatment. That would be a consequence. It's not as tough as some people want it to be, but it's definitely better that we have right now, which is what you said, zero consequences.
That sounds really good, and I'm all for what you just said. The only thing that came to mind right away was we've been shutting down prisons. Where would we put the people that when we change the law?
That is a very, very, very astute point, Mike. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Yes, Gavin knows that they're closing prisons left and right, and the jails are overcrowded. Heck, in L.A. County, they want to close Men's Central Jail without replacing it with anything else. So even if the laws change, this is very true. If there's nowhere to put these people, what do we do? But that's another problem for another day. Right now, it's a very simple question. 800-222-KEBC. Cash, not drugs. What do you think about San Francisco's new idea? Pay drug addicts to stay clean. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to John in Orange County. John, hello.
Hi there, Andy. Hey, listen, I have a question. Is this the same San Francisco that has safe injection sites where they hand out needles and drug kits?
Well, they had one that they had to shut down because it was such a colossal failure. And since then, London Breed has kind of gone the other direction. But yes, San Francisco had one of those. There are still several members of the Board of Supervisors that want to have them, even though they're illegal by state law. And here in Los Angeles County, Barbara Ferrer is advocating for that exact same thing over and over and over again. So far, they haven't taken her up on it because it's illegal.
I see. Well, that's good to hear. But I guess San Francisco's plan is great, though, but $100 is not nearly enough. In today's economy and with inflation the way it is, they need to increase that. And I'll go with what the other caller said. That would help a train of drug addicts move from Southern California up to Northern California, and they can have them all.
Well, there you go. Although the thing is, right now, with the way that L.A. County is the only place in the state that doesn't want to enforce the homeless encampment bans, and San Francisco is enforcing it, it might be the other way around, and everyone goes to L.A. County. You're in Orange County, so you'll be lucky.
I am very lucky to live in Orange County. You're right. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much for the call, John. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. What do you think of paying drug addicts to stay clean? 800-222-KABC. San Francisco proposing $100 a week if you can test negative. 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Cash, not drugs. It's a new idea being floated in San Francisco. Pay welfare recipients an extra $100 a week if they can stay clean. What do you think about paying drug addicts to stay sober? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Dan in L.A. Dan, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great.
So I got two big problems with it. One, you're rewarding illegal behavior, flat out. Two, by the time you give them $100 and it filters its way through the corrupt homeless industrial complex, it's probably going to be $1,000 that every hand dipped into it before $100 hits the street. Every time they do any of these programs in Los Angeles, pennies ultimately get to the corner where they're supposed to go. So it's just another tax that's not going to get to where it's supposed to go, and it's theft and mismanagement, and that's it. And it's over and over and over and over again, and throwing money at it isn't doing anything. We've thrown billions at it, and it's just getting worse.
You make some great points, Dan. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. And you know what? Hopefully this would go directly. But administrative costs, now this would go through the welfare system, so hopefully it would be easy. But yes, the amount of money we spend to administer these programs when literally maybe we could have just seen what happens. Let's say we spent $25 billion in the last 5 years in this state on homeless people, and there are 180,000 homeless, maybe 200,000 in the state. What if you cut all of them a check? What would happen? Would it be more effective than everything else we've done? I don't know. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Ephraim in L.A. Ephraim, hello.
Yeah, Randy, I actually love it, but I support it, but with one little caveat, that it gets funded strictly on voluntary basis. In other words, whatever the money gets paid out for not being drug addict, for not using drugs, that these funds are not being coerced out of people. People are not forced to pay into it through this whole taxation system. You just say, we voluntarily ask all the residents to pay for it, and yeah, guys, go ahead and do whatever you want. You want to pay for that, whatever. And as a matter of fact, a lot of social programs here in the city or even nationwide, I think would be a good idea to switch funding on a voluntary basis. I heard that this whole idea, like somebody did a study about like a minimum income, that everybody has to have a minimum. I think this guy, the AI, the ChatGPT guy, I forgot his name, and he discovered that like they did a study, they paid they allocated like billions of dollars, and they ended up and they followed the people, the recipients, and they found out that it works and it's great, and now they want to implement it on a national level or whatever. And I say, yeah, I like that too. Just make sure that it's funded on a voluntary basis, and I'm all for it. Because I don't like people being coerced. I'm against that.
I love that whole idea of, imagine when you pay your tax bill, you can actually select where the programs that you want to put money into, and then programs that are popular in this country will have a lot of funding, and programs that are not popular, well, who's going to be funding that? That's a very interesting idea.
No, the things like, right, but, like there are things like national defense, or police, whatever, that everybody agrees that everybody has to pay. Yeah, that goes through the tax. But things like that, yeah, you just put, and, you just say, there's like a special section, like
really, you should pay us another $5,000 on the tax bill. But if you don't, we're not going after you. And from that, you get funding. And I think that was going to be. I think everybody will support that. I guarantee you.
Well, there you go, Ephraim. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Cash, not drugs. It's a new idea being floated in San Francisco. What do you think about paying welfare recipients an extra $100 a week to stay off drugs? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. San Francisco has a new idea. It's called Cash, Not Drugs. Pay welfare recipients an extra $100 a week if they can stay clean, if they can stay off of drugs, if they can test negative on a drug test. What do you think? Should we pay drug addicts to stay sober? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's start with Leo in Newbury Park. Leo, hello.
Hey, Randy, thanks for taking my call. No, this is crazy. I mean, staying clean is something that's a personal choice that cash isn't going to fix. And by saying, hey, we're just going to throw money at the problem like they've been doing for years, that's not going to work. So it's rewarding bad behavior. It'd be like, excuse me, it'd be like your boss saying, hey, if you come to work and you're not an a-hole, at the end of the month, we'll give you a bonus. I mean, it's not going to work. Plus, the infrastructure to hand out all this money and drug test people, how much is that going to cost?
Well, specifically for this program, it would be people that are already enrolled in the welfare program, General Assistance in San Francisco, where they get $600 a month. So if they could get negative drug tests, that boosts it up to $1,000.
Wow. Well, no, I think it's a really bad idea. And with any addiction, it's all about personal change, not just give me cash and that fixes the problem.
Make a great point. Yeah. Thank you so much for the call, Leo. Appreciate it. Some people, maybe that incentive will work. Some people, $100 is not going to change anything. But, if it is an incentive for somebody to try to stay clean or get on a medical assisted treatment program, I don't know. We have spent money on dumber things like free needles, like free meth pipes and harm reduction kits, just to name one program. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Angela in Southern California. Angela, hello.
Hello, Randy. I have the perfect solution. All these prisons that they're shutting down, put the homeless in there. These homeless people, I agree that a lot of them have issues where they should probably be in psychiatric hospitals, but a lot of them most of them are breaking the law. They're defecating and urinating in public. They're setting up on public sidewalks. They're blocking businesses. They're harassing people. These are all punishable offenses. They're using illegal drugs. Get them off the streets, put them in jail. It'll solve so many problems, and it'll create jobs. Don't give them money. They're going to figure out a way around it. They're going to pay somebody for their clean urine, and we're still going to have the same problem.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Angela, because if you think about when the homeless population exploded in California, it was after the prison realignment, AB 109. It was after Prop 47. It was after reclassifying all these felonies as misdemeanors. So did we take this massive prison population and just put them out on the streets?
The prison, yeah, exactly. Put them back in. They do not belong on the streets. They're also robbing stores, breaking into cars, all these things, they should be in jail.
Well, there you go, Angela. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. She mentioned buying fake urine. Got to tell you this because it's a true story. Back at the first radio station I worked at, 97.1, the FM talk station, the station of Howard Stern and Tom Likas and Frosty, Heidi and Frank and Conwayne Whitman and Adam Carolla. There was a client that wanted to advertise on the radio station. Their product was called You're in the Clear, and it was fake pee that they wanted to sell to the audience because if you want a target demographic of people that are definitely trying to beat a drug test, it's going to be the KLSX 97.1 audience. I have that commercial somewhere. I'm going to have to find it. Let's go to Danny in North Hollywood. Danny, hello.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call. I don't think this question is completely answered, but how do you qualify for this program?
So the way that general assistance works in San Francisco, and it's a lot more easy and generous than a lot of places, you got to prove that you got no income. You got to prove that you're living on the streets and you need cash assistance. That's the original general assistance welfare program. To qualify for the extra $100, you would have to take, I would assume, a drug test every week to get that $100 a week.
So if you're collecting welfare but don't have a drug problem, can you just walk in and go, hey, I'll take the test, and you get an extra $100 a week that way?
You might be able to. I mean, or at least say at one point I had a drug problem. But yes, if you were on general assistance and you were still giving the negative test, it would be discriminatory to not give it to somebody that didn't have a drug problem.
Okay, so what if I am not on welfare but have a drug problem? Could I go down there and say, hey, I'll stop taking drugs if you give me $100 a week? Or do I have to totally crash and burn and end up on the street and go on GA first?
I think they want you to crash and burn first, but it's an interesting thought process of what if you could call a government agency and say, hey, I'm thinking about using, can you send me $100 a week so I don't do that?
See, this is why when people hear this, their logic if they're thinking and reasoning logically, they just go, "This is ridiculous. It's like paying a criminal not to steal." And I would venture to say that if it did work, if they could show that it worked, but there are so many other things that work, and if you as a former person know the door to change opens from the inside, at some point you make the choice, and nothing else, that $100 here, $100 there, it's not going to do it. They have to make that change, and that's why I think that ultimately they have to end up in treatment.
That is the most important part of all of this, for sure. Danny, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. And you know what? For a lot of people, getting into that treatment, making that change, it usually is the result of some consequences. The term rock bottom, having something negatively affect your life where you're like, well, I don't want to do this anymore because I don't want those negative consequences. And for a very long time, that was the threat of prison. That was all the other things. And thanks to turning those felonies into misdemeanors, thanks to not charging drug crimes at all in places like Los Angeles and Oakland and San Francisco, you don't have any of those consequences. So you are just free to go back on the street and keep using, and you get kind of coddled and enabled. Consequences can be small, but they can be powerful. I quit pot in 2017. And one of the big consequences for me, it was a real small one. My wife didn't want to kiss me after I smoked pot. And you know what? I weighed the one thing and I weighed the other thing, and I decided, you know what? Don't think I need the weed anymore because I like kissing my wife. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Hello, Randy. Hey, weed is legal, so would that be on the list of contraband?
I don't think it would be nowadays, for sure, because it is legal. I don't even think jobs drug test for weed anymore.
Well, if I'm getting $100 a week extra, I could buy some better stuff.
That's true. You know what? You could absolutely, based on the way that this policy is, if you promise to not do the hard stuff, the heroin, the crack, the meth, they could give you $100 and you could buy really good weed every week. And maybe that would be your substitute addiction.
Well, if it actually works, I'm all for it. I used to know some guys that used to collect GR in Long Beach, and it was only a couple $100 a month, and they had to do community service, so they didn't get anything with some food stamps.
I'm all for what works. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. Dale, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Cash, not drugs. What do you think of San Francisco's new program that would give a $100 a week bonus to people on general assistance welfare if they can stay off drugs? How do you feel about paying drug addicts to stay sober? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. Cash, not drugs. What do you think of San Francisco's new idea? Pay drug addicts who are on welfare general assistance an extra $100 a week if they can stay clean. What do you think? Let's go to Chuck in Orange County. Chuck, hello.
Chuck has the idea that not only should we pay people not to take drugs, but how about paying people not to rob banks? Then we'll pay people not to break into homes. Then we'll pay people not to beat up old ladies on the street. And then for a bonus, we'll pay you for not killing policemen.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Chuck. San Francisco, a year and a half ago, had a different program that would pay people to not shoot each other.
Okay, I'll put that as a minor bonus. The big bonus is don't kill policemen.
We would appreciate that for sure. Thanks so much for the call, Chuck. Appreciate it. This is kind of like the theory of guaranteed income. If you fulfill everyone's minimum needs, they don't need to commit crime. That might be true for some people. Some people like the crimin'. I don't know. More of your calls coming up in a bit. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you'd like to email me, you can do so at randykabc@gmail.com. Penny writes in at randykabc@gmail.com. If you were spending $100 a week on weed, I wonder what you were spending on the munchies. Oh, Penny, you don't want to know. Sometimes I would get real zonked out on the weed and then open up the Domino's website. This is like right when online ordering was starting in like 2011. And there would be sometimes that Domino's order would be like up to $100. Now, usually it was just getting the drive-thru and do a Taco Bell or a Jack in the Box or a Taco Bell and a Jack in the Box. But yeah, my 20s, I spent so much money on junk food and on drugs. But hey, I didn't do anything too hard, so to speak. Let's go to Jeff in Granada Hills. Jeff, hello.
Hey, how are you guys? Love listening to you guys. My favorite
Thank
station
you.
all the time. I think I even posted something where they had the American flag over the freeway, and I had posted that. Anyway, my question is, the state is in a budget deficit of $73 billion. Where are we going to pay that? How are we going to pay that?
Nobody ever likes to think about that question.
Yeah. Where's that money going to come from? They never think about it.
Well, and the city of San Francisco is going to put up some of this money, and they're in their own $700 million budget deficit.
Yep. Yep. They never think about that. And I know
Thanks so much for the call, Jeff. Appreciate it. I mean, I guess you could look in the long term. If a program like this works, it will cost the city so much less money because these people, if they're not in the throes of addiction, won't be committing as many crimes and bankrupting Walgreens that have to close their doors and contribute to the doom loop. Maybe. We'll see if it works. Let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Hey, Randy, I've got an answer to that guy's question. All the funding for this program should come out of politicians' obscenely high salaries.
Oh, I'd be for that. I think Gavin Newsom should take a 50% pay cut right now. How many $100 a week paychecks could we fulfill with that?
Exactly.
No, I am all for that. I think the fact that, look at the LA County Director of Public Health, Barbara Ferrer, $650,000 a year to come up with ideas like pass out meth pipes, and that's going to help drug addiction. That salary should be taken down to the minimum wage, and all that money should go to the people she says she's here to help.
Right. We need a refund from that lady.
We definitely do. Bill, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Maybe this will work. Maybe it won't. The thing is, it's interesting. Politicians love to reinvent the wheel. Everyone's got to come up with some kind of new idea. And this kind of treatment, it has worked in similar fashions in different ways, but like having that kind of positive reward, maybe that mentally will help somebody. Hopefully. We all want the same thing. We want people that are on hard drugs to get off of hard drugs. Currently, we just do not have the correct amount of consequences. That may change. Prop 36 is definitely an improvement. Doesn't go as far as some people want, but if on your third conviction for a misdemeanor, it gets bumped up to a felony that is treatment mandated. So you either take the felony or you go into treatment, you complete that treatment program, and felony goes away. I like that system. I'd like to see that implemented, and I would like to see us spending a lot more money on treatment as opposed to whatever we spent $25 billion on with this problem of homelessness that is so intimately tied with drug addiction. But hey, we got a lot of great ideas out here. We'll be tracking this program, Cash Not Drugs, to see how it works. In the meantime, that's going to be it from me today. Thank you so much for listening. Always so happy to be here every single day from 5 to 6, talking about the local issues that matter to you most. And of course, taking those phone calls, because this audience is the best. You're outspoken, you're energetic. Sometimes you're really funny. We love talking to you, and we do it every single day. If you miss any episode of this show, like our Happy Hour Friday shows, go to kabc.com, click on podcasts, search for the News Blitz with Randy Wang. Wherever you get podcasts, it might be up there. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 for another News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.